recording going.
Thank you so much, Tracie. Good afternoon, good night, good morning here. Thank you so much. It's a great honor for me to have you here. I was explaining to you, we have a group session, and in my group sessions, we all talk about all these metaphysical and spiritual and healing topics. And I thought Tracie Mahan is one of the best, and I'm very honored to have met you.
Well, now you're just making me blush, right? I appreciate that.
No,
I think it's that I love what I do, so that just kind of reflects. But yeah,
definitely you reflect that, like you truly shine every time that you do that. You can speak a little bit more what you do, but you are a level 3 QHHT practitioner. You are a coach as well. You were my coach in level 3. I'm sorry, when I was studying QHHT, and I appreciate that. Also, I know that you channel Arcturians, which we are going to talk about it as well. And you do other work with other level 3 practitioners or yourself, and also in different places, either in courses, in events. You do something with regarding the Acturians as well with Judy Cuckoo, with many of the group not met her as well. So I'm very happy. But you know what I love about you, apart from all this amazing work that you do and all these things that you give to humanity, that you keep it grounded and with sense of humor. There's always a smile every time that I hear any of the metaphysical hour that you do with Julia, or anything, or the videos that you do. There's always a sense, a sense of humor and a grounded human being. So thank you, Tracie, for your time.
Well, thank you. Good. Mission accomplished. I always used to say, if you're not laughing, you're not doing it right. So, but yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm one of those people that say, hey, if I can do it, then anybody can, because there's nothing, I didn't fall and bump my head. I didn't, get born with all these, like going through childhood with all this knowledge of all these gifts or anything like that. I just had an interest and I pursued it. There were some things, some synchronicities in my life that brought upon some of the stuff that I went through. Like the mediumship, when I learned mediumship, that kind of got started when one of my brother's best friend got killed in a car accident, and I could sense that he was talking to me. And so eventually that led to me understanding that I was actually in a conversation with him and that I was doing mediumship. So that was kind of my kickstart into this whole world that we're in.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so that was that. I was 15 when that happened, and that kind of got me into, for a little while I didn't know what was going on, or I just thought I guess I thought I was having conversations with him. I just didn't understand what that really was. And so then that kind of evolved. I ended up working at a department store where a woman that worked there was doing dream interpretations. And so she was kind of helping me understand the mediumship thing that was happening with the crossed over loved one. And then she had me start keeping a dream journal. And in the dream journal, I had a past life experience that just really turned my world around. Like I was going through something tumultuous, and then I saw this past life through the dreams, and all that, everything that was so confusing and so difficult and so hard for me to understand became so crystal clear. And the weight of it just got lifted, because I knew it was karma that was being settled, and what a gift that was to be able to settle that karma. And so that got me in a pursuit of past lives.
How did you know it was a past life and not just a wild dream?
Well, I was keeping the dream journals, and it was me and two other ladies, and we would get together. So the gal that I worked with that was doing the dream analogy, her and another gal and I, we would get together once a week and talk about the dreams that we had and interpret them together. And there was one week where I had 3 dreams, and I was telling them my dreams, and the one gal says, that sounds like a past life. The way I'm hearing this, this, and this happened in your past life, and you're settling the karma. And I just went, and it was like, whoa, it was the neatest feeling ever. It was like somebody just literally took 1,000-pound weight off of me. And I was just like, what was that? What just happened? And then I never had that angst or upset or disdain around it anymore. The whole relationship changed. And anyway, it was quite an experience. So that put me on the whole, well, first I'm doing the mediumship, so I'm on this intuitive path of figuring out intuition and doing readings and tarot cards and angel cards and different things like that. But now I'm also on this path that says, hey, I want to know more about past lives. So I was doing past life readings, and I was actually feel like I did pretty good with that, just picking up past lives on my own. But I thought, this isn't the same. Like, people can heal a past life just from hearing what it is. Like, if you had a fear of water and I was doing a reading for you, I'd say, oh, I'm seeing you were at a, you were a little child. There was horses and buggies, and you were doing a family picnic at a river, and you fell in and they couldn't get you out in time and you drowned. Now you have this fear of water, and then now they don't have a fear of water because now they understand where it came from. And I've done those, but I was like, it's just not the same experience as it was like when I had that, and it went through my whole body. And I was like, so then I got, synchronicity. I bump into this gal that's going to take a hypnotherapy class. I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to do that. And she's like, well, I think there's room for more people in the class. And so without all the gory details in between, I end up in this class and got to learn, like you were saying, clinical hypnotherapy. That was probably around 2007. And so I was taking this course so I'd been practicing the intuitive version of things for a few years before that, and get to do this hypnotherapy class was like a dream come true for me. But I was trying to work a full-time job, raise 3 kids on my own, and take this hypnotherapy class throughout the next 9 months. And I did it, and I was able to get it all figured out, start that practice. And there were so many synchronicities. It's like the right people land in your lap, and it's like, where am I going to practice this at? Well, the gal that was teaching the NLP version of our class, because there was an NLP segment in it, she says, well, I got an office that's about 10 or 15 minutes from where you live. Do you want to share it? And I'm like, what? Share it with you, like the teacher?
Yes.
So that was pretty exciting. And I did that for a few years. I shared an office space with her and her husband, and they're dear friends of mine. She's a really neat lady that came up from South Africa, and she met her husband who lived 15 minutes from where I lived. And so they started their practice. He was acupuncture and she was doing hypnosis and NLP. So I got to be in that part-time for a little while. And I literally, so then I'm like, okay, I want to build this because I don't want to have to do a full-time job and then, try to squeak this in. And I still got my kids. I don't want to neglect my kids. So there was a lot going on for a period of time there. And one of the things I decided to do to try to build the practice was do a Body, Mind, Spirit Expo that was going on in Portland, Oregon, because I live in Oregon. And so I go to that, and one of my colleagues walks up to me, hands me this piece of paper that says 3 waves of volunteers. And she says, I was driving here today, and I got a message that you're supposed to do this work. It kept the message, the voice in my head kept saying, tell Tracie she's got to do this work. She's got to do this work.
Your friend.
So yeah, my friend, because she was psychic and setting up a booth at this event as well. Yeah. So I go and look up 3 waves of volunteers, and I ordered the book. And I remember a friend of mine ordered the book also, a different friend. And her and I were doing an energy trade. Like, I was going to do Reiki on her and she was going to do Reiki on, something of that nature. So she's laying on the table, and she had already gotten her book. I hadn't gotten mine yet. And I'm working on her, and I'm like, I'm having the weirdest experience. I'm seeing, like, when I'm working on you, I'm seeing and I start talking about this whole scene that's going on. And she kind of sits up and she goes, I thought you said you didn't get your book.
Oh, so that was part of the book.
Yeah, I said, I didn't get my book. And she goes, you just told me the first chapter of the book.
Oh, wow. So you were
like,
really careful.
really? Yeah, so then I was even more excited to get the book. So I get the book and I can't read it in the sense that I'll sit down and remember I have small kids at the time. And I went to the park one time and like, they can play on the playground and I'm going to read my book. And then one of the neighbors came over and sat down next to me and started, I can't read the book. Go to sit down at the end of the day, you know, I'm working full-time job, kids, groceries, laundry, all the things. Sit at the end of the day, open the book, I'd start to read it, I'd fall asleep. So to this day, I have not read more than the first chapter of that book, but there's a reason. So
You
but
haven't finished it. Oh, wow.
It got me there. So anyways, I'm not able to read this book, but here comes, I have a flight attendant friend, and I knew her from the first hypnotherapy course that I took. She works for an airline, and so I was telling her about the Dolores Cannon work and all the story I just told you, and she's like, all of a sudden, a couple of days later, she comes back at me and she goes, did you know that Dolores Cannon and Doreen Virtue are going to give a lecture? And this is in, I want to say this is 2012 that this happens. They're going to give a lecture in, I want to make sure. Yeah, they're going to give a lecture in Hawaii, in Honolulu in December. Do you want to go? I was like, go to Hawaii in December? Like, again, I didn't get out much. I was like, you know, really never got to go anywhere. And so I figured out how to go with her to Hawaii in Honolulu and watch Dolores Cannon and Doreen Virtue talk. One was talking about indigo, crystal, and rainbow children. That was Doreen. And then Dolores was talking about the 3 ways of volunteers. How perfect is that? So I'm just, and it was a small thing that they threw together last minute because.
And you organize your kids and everything. Everything gets aligned when this needs to be for you, right?
Yeah. So here we are at this thing, and I get to meet Dolores, and that's when I got to have pictures with her. And I'm so glad I did, because I ended up taking my class online. I didn't get to have a live class with her, and then she passed away. So I didn't get to, that was my one and only shot of getting to meet her in person. Absolutely loved her. Like, this soul is so genuine and real, and so it was just this really neat memory that I get to have.
Like a special being, you know. I feel that Dolores was like a special a being outside, put it here in a human body, but the light was still very bright.
Absolutely, yes. So we come back from that, and I end up with this client that wants a reading, and I'm like, okay. And it was a gentleman. He comes in, and I start giving him the reading. He had an hour-long reading. Next thing we know, 3 hours had gone by. We were talking about Dolores. We were talking about my trip. We were talking about all the stuff she does. And next thing we know, it was like 3 hours later, and his wife was trying to get a hold of him and like, are you okay? And he's like, man, I don't know what it is about that conversation, but there's something really big going on here. He goes, I want to, and I was doing past life regressions, as you know, with the other work, with the other hypnosis. I was doing past life regressions with those. And he said, well, I would love a past life regression. Can I come back next weekend and get one? And I said, sure. So he comes back the next weekend, and he hands me an envelope of cash, and he says, go take that class. And because I hadn't taken my level 1 yet at this point, I met her and I wanted to take the class, but back when I was doing that, I think it was $700 or something, or there was an ad running for $699 at the time. I don't think we'll see those numbers again, but at the time that was, and that's dating me a little bit. But anyways, so he hands me the money. I had only met him one other time.
Really? Oh, wow.
I didn't know this guy. I mean,
yeah, we just had this conversation.
He was such a pivotal person in my life. And so I took the course, and he was the first one to come in, of course, for a session. And so I regress him, and I'm telling you what, I take people on dragon journeys all the time, like, go meet your dragon. Everyone has a dragon, go meet them. It's just like guardian angels. You got to meet your dragon. And he comes in, first regression I ever do, his voice gets super deep, and I'm just like, okay, so tell me about it. Where are you? And he's like, I can't remember his exact words, but he had channeled a dragon. And so my very first session ever, I get to talk to a dragon. And so of course I'm curious as heck, well, where are you at? Where do you live? Where do you exist? And he's like, we're not here to answer your questions.
So like, he went straight away to channel a dragon, not so much about life.
He just went straight into the dragon. And I was just like in heaven. Oh my gosh, a dragon. So anyways, I ended up doing, I think, 3 or 4 sessions over a course of time with him. And then our time together faded out. I haven't seen him for a few years now. But anyways, he will forever be my hero because he got me on the path, right? He made it possible for me to be here. So it took me a couple of years to get to level 2, mainly financial reasons, raising kids and also my mindset of poverty. I had to overcome some poverty mindset. So
and you're still working in another job?
At that time I was.
At that time. Yeah.
At that time, yeah. So I was working full time still and doing this on the side and doing QHHT on the side. So so when I got to my level 2, so in 2013, I got my level 1. In 2018, I got my level 2. So that tells you a little bit. It was a journey, but in that time, Dolores had passed away. I had a podcast. I brought Julia on my podcast a couple of times to talk about soul speed. And, we just use, if you've seen the Metaphysical Hour, you see that we just get each other. It's like
you get along very well. I laugh a lot.
It has been that way since the first minute we've had a conversation, and I actually, because we are so similar, I actually had our star charts done to see if there was any similarity. And the person that did the chart said, you guys are basically the same chart. Your charts are so similar that there's like slight differences, but you're basically, that's why you get along so well, because your charts are even mirroring. And I was like, we must have planned something there. But anyways, so I get to level 2 and I get to go to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, 2018. I take the course and took a little leap of faith, quit my job, quit the day job, and said, this gotta work, do or die.
That's brave.
Universe, I'm taking a leap.
Yes.
You've got me out here. And at that point, this is my home. This is, I don't rent it, I own it. And I was like, I'm taking a leap of faith here that you're going to support me in this, because if you don't, I'm going to lose everything, including my home. And I was ready to do that. That's the point I was at. I was like, if that's what it takes, I can't do the day job anymore.
I think you need to do that step in order to make it happen. You cannot be part.
Yeah, the universe needs to see that level of commitment or something. So I go on that trip in 2018 and it changed everything about my life. I came home from that trip. I felt like I got to spend 10 days in the 5D, in the 5th dimension. The people I got to meet, the conversations I got to have, all like-minded people. When you come from where you're surrounded by all these 3rd dimensional business people all the time. And it was just like, oh my God, I am in heaven. This place is amazing. And so, and it was quite interesting. I remember getting off of the airplane from I don't know if you can still hear me, but I got off the airplane from that trip and I'm like buzzing high flying, and my kids came to pick me up at the airport. And kid you not, as soon as I stepped in that car and sat down, everybody's right. And I was like, whoa. And that 3D came back like,
oh, too much.
Bam.
Yeah.
And later I asked, why did that happen? Why was that allowed to happen? And they said, because you didn't realize before that, you weren't realizing that you were in 5D. You were realizing you were happy and that you had a great trip and you didn't want to come home, but you weren't making that connection between here and here. And so we had to bring you back down here so that you could understand you were there.
Oh, wow.
So that was interesting.
That's interesting, because I think many of us have experienced that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
coming
So
back and it's like,
kind of
oh,
like our
feels
subconscious is just telling us things all the time, and we just got to pay attention. So because I wasn't making that connection, they really wanted to anchor it in with me. But so I get home and I do a trade with a friend of mine, as most of us do when we take another level. We want to test out the new skills. So I set up a trade with a friend of mine, and when she put me into hypnosis, that's when the Arcturians came out.
oh,
So
okay. So this is
so I got
you need to
activated
know.
with the Acturians in my level 2 course, and came home, and that's when Daniel happened. So
But this is the
that's why I
first,
say it changed my whole life.
it's not the
And
first time you, it's many QHHT already that you got. Oh, this is the first time that someone put you under QHHT.
no, this was at least the second time I had been under by this point. I didn't get a session for myself forever because nobody around here was
around you.
sure. So finally once there was a practitioner in the area, we got in contact with each other, and she did a session on me, and I went into a lifetime as an oracle. So it was really cool.
Oh, nice.
But I had past lives done before, because we all practiced on each other in classes and stuff. And so I'd had many past lives done on me before, but not a QHHT where I went into the SC afterwards to find out the information as to why was I shown this one and all the things. So anyway, so I get this Daniel energy that's just like, and then couldn't talk fast enough, and it's bouncing, the energy's bouncing all over. I'm like, what is happening?
And he presents himself as a Daniel?
Well, at that time, I just knew it was Arcturian, and that there
Okay.
was a group of them. And this one was speaking through me. I knew it was masculine. And then the gal asked, well, what's your name? What do you want to go by? And Daniel comes flying out of my mouth. Well, that's my older brother's name. So it was not going to be my first pick of a name. Why would I name him after, it's like, why that name? It's like, anyway, so I wasn't going to stick with that name. I was like, there's no way I'm using that name. And I told somebody else that he said his name was Daniel. And then all of a sudden that person was like, Daniel, this, Daniel, that, Daniel. And it stuck. And I'm like,
fucking Daniel.
I guess it's Daniel, because now everybody that is in my circle knows it as Daniel. And now I couldn't think of it as any other energy. The name totally fits the vibration of the being.
At this time, did you know about, did you were aware about ETs or extraterrestrials, about other dimensional beings? You were already in that.
Here's a fun little fact. Back in the early days of Tracie, when she was when I was figuring out all of my intuition stuff, the mediumship and all the things, I was going to a Wednesday night group of intuitive people. So that was a really cool thing to get to do and have that available to me. Wonderful mentors through that, teaching me how to tune in and tap into the intuitive and psychic piece. And one of the gals there did a channeled letter for me. And at this, keep in mind, I'm at the point where I'm like learning about what is an aura color? What does the aura do? How do you tap into loved ones? And how do you see energy? And how do you read energy? So it was really the very, very, very beginning of like the energy psychic 101, right? Mm-hmm. And this gal hands me this letter that says, you're going to be an ambassador of the stars. You're going to communicate between the star beings and Earth. You're going to bring in messages for people. You're going to be doing healing work from this level, blah, blah, blah. And like, she spelled it all out in this letter. And I was like, right. Okay, lady. I look at a bitty baby and 2 other little kids, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be me.
Oh wow!
I kept the letter. I kept it, and then and then I found it after, as we do. I found it after I got back from that trip. I was like, it seems like I had a letter that said I was going to do weird things. And I kind of nosed around a little bit for it. And it was so easy to find it. They're the ones that put it in my mind to go look for it, I'm sure. Yes. And I found it and I read it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing all the things on here. This is insane. So, yeah. So that
Daniel came in the session.
So Daniel so what happened with the Daniel session, so now I'm doing level 2 QHHT, and remember I quit my job, so I'm doing my best to create an income that's big enough to support us. But also I have this Daniel stuff, and it was just buzzing around my head the whole time. And I had a friend that had posted something on social media that she was having a bad day, so I called her up and I said, hey, let's see if we can just turn this around for you, because that kind of sucks. It's like I feel like we could just flip this quick and then you can change the energy of the day. She's like, all right, well, what do you got in mind? I said, I don't know, let me just think about it for a second. Then pretty soon I start channeling, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And all this channeling came out, and Daniel took her through this entire exercise. And by the end of it, she was channeling light language, and she had journeyed to other planets. She had talked to her council. She had done all these things. And she gets done. She goes, what do you call that session? I said, I have no idea. I've never done that before. She's like, you need to do this with people. So she's actually the one that named it the Ascension session, the Ascension
Oh,
activation.
wow. And how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you
now it's so
he comes,
normal
you need
to
to
be
meditate? Or
yeah, when it first started coming in, I felt like my head, like somebody was pulling my head back, like tipping it back. And like when you push on your head here and then you relieve it and you can go and you feel that pressure, that's kind of how my head would feel when Daniel was coming in. And then I would feel my energy move over here and their energy move in here. And so I was conscious channel. I was aware of what was being said. Just like when you're in hypnosis, right? You remember it all and you're hearing it all. And then about 5 minutes later, you're like, wait, what did we talk about?
Yes,
and so I'll do that kind of stuff. So I don't remember people's messages for the most part, unless it's significant for me to remember it. I don't even remember, like I did a session earlier today, and typically I'd be like, well, when I did that session a couple of days ago, and I'll be like, wait, that was this morning. Like my time is even warped. It's like I'm so in another dimension that I don't even remember what day or time or male or female. It's like, oh, it's weird. But it's such a neat thing to be in that energy, and they're always so loving and kind, and always trying to find the appropriate words. And I am their filter. So yeah, so they got to go through me and what I know and my filters of life and my belief systems. They're trying to navigate through those. So I have to do my best to stay neutral. Like if you were to come up and say, my husband beats me, can I get a session? Well, now I've got my own preconceived energy around household abuse, and it's like, please don't
get involved.
I have to neutralize that, and then just see what. And Daniel will be more matter of fact about it. Okay, well, what do you think you brought that in for? What lesson do you think you wanted to learn with that? Where I would be like, you got to get rid of him. So it's like this total different energy. I actually had a client the other day where he was telling me some stuff, and I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if he's been in a 20 and back or something. Like my mind was going, the military has their grip on you somewhere. And I go get Daniel, and he was like, oh no, you see other dimensions, that you're not being followed by secret agents. You're seeing other dimensions.
Oh,
and
wow.
Them, so they're coming around you because they're part of they're connected to you, and they're trying to help you. And now they notice that you can see them, so they're coming around.
Wow.
And it's like this totally like, what? That would not have been on my radar. But so that's fun too.
Sorry, one of the things that I have seen in your videos of the Acturians, when you channel Daniel, that you just do not channel Daniel. Like you speak light language, you channel the councils, connecting to other, through him, you can connect through other councils and something else. And how this light language as well came through.
Yes, perfect point to make. So I had the same wondering of like, okay, so it's not always Daniel that's speaking. So what is going on with Daniel? And it's a whole council of 7. Okay. And so I call it Daniel and Friends. so this council of 7 are my gatekeepers.
Okay.
So Daniel, it took me almost 2 years to figure out Daniel is me incarnated in another life on
Oh,
October.
wow.
So and so now it's like we're not different. Like when
Yeah.
I channel, it's when you say, what does it feel like? In the beginning, it was a definite feeling of shifting. Now it's like, it's almost like I'm just like always, Daniel's always there and I'm always there with him because it's just that connected now. But yeah, so I found out, okay, so Daniel is an aspect of me. He's my gatekeeper, and this collective is my gatekeeper to make sure that the energy that comes in is in the highest and best good, and that we're channeling from the highest frequencies that I'm capable of channeling from. So yes, so that opens the door that, like, I just did a transmission this morning from the Syrian Council, clearing chakras. The Andromedans come through, the mantis beings are always around. I have a collective of mantis that they love to work with this group that I work with of the Arcturians. I think they're all part of my team or something, but there's mantis beings, there's Lyrans, and there's the Arcturians, and those ones are around me a lot. And then we've got the Andromedans, the tall whites, we've got the dragon beings, we've got the giants, which I thought was interesting that the giants were considered an alien species, but the Mayan collective has come through a few times.
Oh, the Mayan. Oh my goodness, I have so many stories about the Mayans. I want to
Right?
write a book about the
Right?
Mayans.
Yeah, well, they came through and said that they had written, or had, I guess, written, I don't know other words to use for it, but they had created another a second calendar. That was a year, 2 years ago, maybe. That they
Yes,
would create a
what I-
calendar when there was other energies. I don't know, but they also came through in, I think it was November of 2019, and said the world was going to go through a great change and there wasn't going to be anybody that wouldn't be affected by it, and everybody would know somebody who died, and that it was global and there was no way we could predict what it was going to be.
Wow.
Then
No,
we have,
I'm impressed with a couple of things that you have said. I truly, personally, I don't like to learn about the future. I don't know. I just never like readings about what is going to be my future. That is my own preference. But I love to hearing you because you don't talk of the future. You just give advice, or well, Daniel, or whoever
right,
comes
or
through.
let's heal that past one so you can create the future you
Correct.
desire.
But one of the things you say, I don't know, it was 19 or early 20s. You said, or Daniel said, and I remember very well, you said it's going to be a time that is going to be a lot of chaos, which, we're going through that. But in the old chaos, a lot of the lies will be exposed. But I remember some of these words that you or Daniel said. It's not about just the lies of the governments or whoever, is talking lies. It's about your own lies. Everything will be exposed. Yeah, like if you, I don't know, something like you're telling yourself, I'm okay, but really you're not okay and you're not doing your inner work, you will be forced to confront your lies, and everybody's going through that right now. And you say like 3 years ago, more like 4 years ago. So that is, I remember, wow. Tracie said, or Daniel said.
Well, I had a dream. I had a dream before any of this started happening with me, that I went through this bubble of energy and all the dense weight had been lifted off. All the third dimensional chaos had been lifted off. And I felt it in the dream. I could feel what it felt like to have that all illness, sadness, anger, hurt, pain, whatever it was, it just all got lifted off as I went through this bubble. And people were purging and throwing up, and then some people were black and white and other people were in color. And I'm asking, why am I seeing people in black and white and some in color? And they said, and the voice was saying, the ones in color are the ones who have been going through the awakening. The ones in black and white haven't. You can see the ones in color and the ones in black and white, but they can only see the ones in black and white. They cannot see your color. So
I sorry to interrupt you.
So interesting.
I had something similar. It was not a dream, it was in a meditation.
Yeah.
I was meditating. I have my circle of meditation, and I was meditating, and I have this vivid vision there was a mountain, and in the top of the mountain was green and beautiful, like beautiful green, beautiful scenery. And I was on that side, and we were walking towards the mountain. And then there was this curtain of rain, like pouring rain, and there was a black and white city, all black and white, and people there so sad. And I could feel their pain. I could feel like I start crying because I was in this side, green and beautiful, like grass and the most beautiful, and hundreds of thousands of people. And I could see, and there was just rain. And the people black and white in a dark gray city. And I remember seeing the people, the sadness. And I was trying to tell them, just cross the rain. It's just rain. You don't need to, it's just rain, cross to this side. And then I was guiding this being saying, they cannot hear you. They cannot hear you. You need to just continue walking to the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. You had a similar.
Very similar. Yeah. And so at that time it was saying everyone was going to, like, people weren't going to carry other people's burdens for them anymore. All the empaths, like it was, that was the purging. They were getting rid of the stuff that wasn't theirs to carry. There was a lot of things going on. They also said there was going to be false prophets, and the ones that were gray wouldn't know the difference between the false ones and the real ones because they can't see the color in the gray. They just see the gray. Everyone's gray. So anyways, back in the time that I had this, I told my mom about the dream, and I journaled it somewhere. But anyways, every once in a while we'll both go, that dream, it's happening. We're seeing, all these little details that I shared with her. We're seeing it. It's happening. So anyway, so my journey with Daniel just kind of, the ascension sessions kind of took off. And between them and my QHHT, guess what? Hey, Tracie's finally making a living and can support her family. So that was really cool. And then I'm like, and right after the February, so I went to the level 2 training, and I think it was in September of 2018. And February of 2019, I went with Julia to the Conscious Life Expo. And this was the first event that she had done since her mom had passed. Like, she hadn't done these events before. And so we're sitting there at a booth. Nothing showed up. None of the books, none of the paperwork, nothing, none of the banners. So here we have this booth, and just her and I think we had a case of her books. And then the next day, the second day, a case of some of Julia's or Dolores's books showed up. But we're standing there, and we talked to more people. It was so fun. We just had the best time. People were like trying to figure out what we, they're like up and down, like, what's your booth? So then they'd ask, and because we're friendly, we're like, hey, come on over and talk to us. And so we would share. And the only thing I had was my laptop. So I grabbed my laptop, brought it down, and pulled up the website for Dolores Cannon and had that sitting there. And that's the only thing we had. And we talked to more people and had such a good time at that booth. But the problem was, we would tell them we're here with Dolores Cannon, and they would go, are one of you her daughter? And they didn't know which one of us was the daughter, right? And I'm like, Julia, why don't people know who you are? You've been traveling with your mom. She goes, yeah, but I just kind of stay in the shadows. Okay. I'm like, well, you don't get to stay in the shadows anymore. It says time for you to put your face out there. And I said, what's a way you could do that? And she goes, well, I guess we could do the metaphysical hour again.
This is how it started.
So this is how that started. So I was like, well, we could do that. And she goes, I hate doing that thing by myself. I never know what to talk about. And I said, do you want me to come on and do it with you? Like, I don't have to do it every time, but I can come on and help. And she goes, yeah. So that's how that started. And so we've been doing metaphysical hours since 2019. And I just love it.
I love it too. I remember another session that you have with Julia, and this is when I love when you have sense of humor and you laugh, because I don't know, you were talking about ETs or something, and then I don't remember if it was you or Julia, but you said, imagine the mothers groups, like the mother, because both of you are mothers and goes to the normal typical mother. And they were thinking, what do you do? I talk to ETs or something, you know.
Oh yeah, my poor kids. And I'm gonna tell a little bit on one of my kids. He kind of got in trouble, like
Because of the
trouble.
ETs.
Well, he got in trouble, like he took something he shouldn't have taken. Anyways, we're sitting there talking with this counselor lady, right? The whole thing was just like, oh my God, like I'm gonna die in this moment, because here I am with him. He's like 13, maybe 14 at this point. And like he got picked up by the officer by the coattails and like, is this one yours? You know, so we had to go to the police station and talk to this lady. And she's going, so where were you the night that happened? Oh, I went to stay with my friend at his house. And I said, and in my defense, he told me that his friend's mother was going to be there. And it turned out she wasn't. And it was just those two boys, you know, and they snuck out in the middle of the night and caused chaos. And that's why they got in trouble. So anyway, she's like, okay. And does he just usually come and go whenever he wants? And I was like, no, he has to ask me when he goes somewhere. And he chimes in and he goes, well, I try to ask her, but she works with her eyes closed. And so I'm quickly trying to come up with a reason why, because no one wants to sit there and go, I channel Arcturians. So I was like, I work with meditation and stuff. That's what he's talking about. I do meditation with people. And I'm like, but she's probably sitting there going, well, why are your eyes closed? Anyways, it was a whole to do. And I just walked out of there going, seriously, you didn't think that was going to be a weird thing to say to the lady? Mom works with her eyes closed. So sometimes I'm trying to get her attention that I'm going to go leave and she doesn't see me. And I'm just like, oh my God. So yeah.
How they taking it? Are they older enough now to understand? Because my kids are little and they have the most wild experience. And I don't want to, I love it. Like the other day he was talking that he was taken into a spaceship and he says it's not a dream, it was real. And I was with this being, it was like a lion, you know. He's 5 and he's like looking and he's really funny. And then there was this one who was blue, or I don't remember what was like all this. I have documented all the things that they said because it's like wild. So I always encourage him, tell me more, you know, and what else they say and how they feel and they full detail.
Yeah. My youngest one, the one that was in trouble, but when he was littler, he came up to me one time and he goes, I know what happens when we die. And I was like, you do? And he goes, yeah, we're just waking up. And whatever he said, you know, he's like, this is like the dream and we just wake up. And
oh wow, that is so profound.
Anyway, it was it was so profound. And of course I didn't have anything to record it. And so I wanted him to do it again. So I grabbed my phone and recorded him saying it. And he said it again, but not quite the same as he did that first time.
Yes.
Like he had such a deep explanation for it the first time and so matter of fact. And there was almost that look in his eye where you could tell there's something else speaking through you right now. And it's telling me what death is like. And it's basically just waking up. It's like God. Oh, he said, it's like God just wakes you up on the other side.
Wow.
I'm like,
it's
oh,
so beautiful.
That just sounds so peaceful and lovely, doesn't it?
Yes.
You need to go tell everyone that's fearful of death that. You know, and it's like, but yeah. Anyways, so to just kind of wrap up my story on this journey with Julia and with Dolores and QHHT. So they are responsible for Daniel because that happened in my level 2 training. But then I decided I want, you know, it's like I'm here on the radio show with you, and this is my main source of income right now. I want to take it to the level 3. And boy, let me tell you, that's a journey, because the level 3, for anyone that's thinking about level 3, which now I get to teach level 3, by the way, and that's
great.
Biggest honor to get to teach it, because the level 3, 1 and 2 is about teaching you the skills. Level 3 is about honing your skills with it in. And so it's about how are you presenting it? What is it that you know, how is your voice? What are the questions you're asking? All the different things that we're just listening to your session, to your interview, and just honing things in for you as a practitioner. And let me tell you what, this quirky girl had some things to fix in her session. It was like, oh, I really kind of what's the word? I went rogue on that a little bit. You know, I kind of added that little thing there, didn't I? Okay, got to take that out. You know, and I really realized how I didn't honor the script to the fullest that I should have been, and it really cleaned up my sessions. And you know, now I'm like, here's the script, and I'm going by the script, because the way Dolores has it written out is really, I mean, obviously everyone's a little bit different, and something might go astray over here and over there, but for the most part, that layout is just set up perfectly.
Well thought, yes.
Yeah, well thought, and it doesn't need to veer off this way or veer off that way, and all the answers are right there with their SC and that higher self, and we just have to ask the questions, and it's all right there. So I got into doing the level 3, and really we go through a little bit of an ego death going through level 3 training, because you know, it's like, but why don't we do it this way? Turn that down. It's like, no, go back to the basics, just do it like this, promise. And then but and then no, just do it like this, I promise. So over the training of that, I really started to figure out why we do it the way we do, and why it's written the way it's written. And now it's basically the only hypnosis I do. It's the only one I advertise on my website. Some people know that I have the other stuff, and every once in a while I'll get the, hey, could you just do me a recording for stop smoking or something like that? Yeah. But you know, now I offer,
not as profound anymore.
I just offer the QHHT and the Ascension sessions, and then you can get a reading. You can get a channeled reading from Daniel, or a card reading from me. And I got all my decks of cards up here in this little shelf. And I do card readings, channeled reading, or you can do a journey with Daniel, which is the Ascension session. And you get to ask questions in that too, or you can come in person and do a QHHT session. So
I think the group will love to, yeah, I will put your website and your details at the end, but I think they would love to have a part, because they already experienced QHHT, but not all of them have connected with ETs, because whatever they're going in their lives. So that connection with the Acturians, or whoever, through Daniel, that is one of the things that I think will attract more everybody to connect you as well, that they can actually connect to them, to these dimensional higher beings, that they have so much loving wisdom. I mean, they are in higher dimension. They already went through this third dimension that we are going through, and they already experienced that they can hold us like a, you know, like a loving, I don't want to use parent as a word, but a loving, yes, like a loving being holding us. And
it's a nurture, it's a nurturing energy.
It is. It is.
You feel supported, you feel safe. Yeah.
When I hear your YouTube videos, and I feel it, and obviously I'm not, usually it's because of the time, I don't do it on like live. When you're live, I pre-recorded, but it's powerful. This light chakra session that you did is amazing.
Yeah, we're attached to the time, and it's really interesting to do the channels, the Q&A, I do every so often an interview with Jason as well, where he's asking the questions, and those are all kind of the Q&A is live, but the other ones are pre-recorded, but I can scan the audience from all time.
Wow.
It's very interesting. It's like, I can tell the way they'll bring this group in close, then someone that's listening later will be in this other layered group, and then if it's further out, it's, you know, and then it starts getting a little more scattered and a little further out, but I can see them all.
Wow.
And it's really interesting.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm just conscious about your time. And I'm very grateful.
I was gonna ask you, do you want me to bring in maybe a 5-minute message from
Oh,
Daniel?
that will be I will be honored. Thank you so much.
And then
Thank
we'll
you.
close it up and let me go eat some dinner and.
Oh,
and
thank you so much. And I
I
appreciate
know,
it from
I looked at the
love
clock, I
because
was like, oh my gosh, we've been talking, haven't
I
we?
was enjoying
So,
it. Yes, thank you so
yeah.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is exciting because I know that the people listening, the stuff that we were talking about, that we've been through, the dreams and the shifts and the aha moments, I know that your group is experiencing that. So important for us all to talk about it and give
To
each other.
believe it, that it's real, that it's not our
Yeah.
mind making up the stories, you know.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you guys haven't seen the Arcturian Daniel come through, sometimes he can be a little humorous and bouncy, and sometimes it can be very serious because it is a council of 7. So sometimes I get a more serious vibe coming from them. But most often, what I'm feeling right now as I'm getting ready to get started is that there's a lot of excitement to give you guys a message. And so it might come out a little bouncy, but
Thank you.
I'm gonna go get Daniel. It takes just a second. It's a matter of me closing my eyes and moving over, and he's there. So,
And should I do something?
What's that?
Should I do something or just listen?
You know, that just makes me want to make you do something. Yeah, you need to touch your nose and tap your head.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
that always helps. That helps the energy come in. You don't need to do that. No. No, you don't need to do anything, and you can ask questions if you like. Okay.
Thank you, Tracie.
All right, let's get him. So we like how this all finally did come together. There was a little bit of orchestrating that had to happen along the way to get these two ladies to connect and make it all work out. And we're so happy that it did. The message that we would like to talk to you about today, the message that we would like to bring through for you today, is one of great power for you, we hope. We want you to know that you have been selected. You were divinely selected. You came in to work in these groups, in these forms. You came in to find each other through the QHHT collective, because it was very important for you all to amplify each other's energy through the support system. We ask all of you to just enjoy yourselves. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves. Don't get yourselves too much in the third dimension stress of everything, right? You need to laugh, you need to play, you need to enjoy yourselves, and you need to have fun doing the work that you're doing. When you have fun, when you play in the lightheartedness, you are attracting to you faster, quicker, easier, everything that you desire, all the clients that you desire, the money that comes with the clients that you desire. Somebody got quirky and weird about it when we said the money you desire. Let go of the idea that you shouldn't have money for this. You are trading a large and valuable thing for your money. And you took schooling and classes and courses for this so that you could be this instructor, this facilitator. So make sure you are getting paid for it and compensated for it. Get excited about that. You deserve it. And we're going to tell you one more thing where money is concerned. When you are collecting money from somebody, they value your service. When you give it away, they feel like, well, there must not be much to it. They're just giving it away. You need to charge them. The more you charge them, we don't want you to be exorbitant, but as you charge them, saying, I'm serious about my work and I deserve to be compensated for it, and this is the dollar amount that I'm asking for. And we say, don't waver, because if they are ready for the service that you are ready to provide for them, they will have the money. Think about that in your own world. When you are like at the grocery store and you're like, oh, do I want to get a candy bar? Do I not want to get a candy bar? I don't know, whatever it is, this little extravagant thing that's going to cost you $20, $30. And you say no to yourself and you deny yourself that pleasure. And then you're driving home and you're like, oh, McDonald's, and you drive through and you spend $40 getting drive-through burgers so that you can take them home and not cook. And you don't think it's second thought about it, do you? When it becomes a priority, maybe McDonald's was the wrong choice, but you know what we mean. There will be something else that you don't think twice about. You just go get it. But then the thing of desire, you don't do for yourself. It's very important to know that when somebody is ready, they're going to come to you, and we want you to be compensated for your time. It is very important in your world. You live in a world that has a monetary system, and you need that monetary system to provide for your family and to have a joyful life and make your life more easy. And we say to you, part of you struggle with the monetary system because you don't come from that. You come from different kinds of worlds that don't work with this structure. And so it is very difficult. You come from very giving and very loving and very compassionate worlds that wouldn't let other people suffer, or wouldn't let there be classes and tiers of the high income, middle income, low income. There wouldn't be such a thing from where you come from. And so you struggle with that. But we want you to know that there is plenty for everyone. Do not have guilt if you have money. Put it away, do what you want with it, take vacations, have joyful times, take your children out, whatever you want to do, and have fun and enjoy your life. Okay, we'll get off of that subject now. We want to just look at this beautiful collective.
Thank you, Daniel.
You are welcome. Why do we want to say the name Amy? Is there an Amy in the group?
Amy, no, not that I know.
We're seeing it spelled out. Amy, A-M-Y.
I can tell you after, if comes later, perhaps they sign up
Perhaps
later.
somebody knows an Amy. Or it could be that somebody in the group knows an Amy.
Or could be.
Amy needs to know it's going to be okay.
Okay.
Amy needs to know everything is okay. Or if this is a loved one that's coming through from the other side, she is okay. The message is everything is okay. So if that was something that was important for someone, it could be a loved one taking advantage of a moment and trying to get a message in, right?
That is a beautiful message. Thank you. And I just a quick question, see, we have it here, Daniel, with great honor. What advice would you give to all of us to connect with you or with any other beings, divine beings, to connect that belief that we are being helped and being guided? And what advice would you give us?
You are always connected to the higher self, the higher councils. You came, each and every one of you came with a council of beings that helped you plan this life. You are part of that council. You were the most likely to succeed at what you came here to do. So you were the one that was chosen to incarnate, and the rest of them are here to help guide and support you. You are in a world of free will. So they can only do so much, right? And you can call on them as much as and give them permission to be active in your life to bring you guidance and so forth. To channel like we are channeling, we would recommend that you start doing it with writing. Write out a question, then write out what you think the answer is, the first thoughts that are coming into your mind, write it out. When you go into your QHHT sessions, when you are the one that is the client and not the practitioner, you get to be the client. When you go into the SC, you're channeling that aspect of you. There is no difference. It feels just like that. When you channel in your higher self sessions, it is the same thing. You just, it's like turning the dial on the radio, right? You are turning, okay, I just did my SE. Now I want to go do the Arcturian Council. So I'm going to turn it over to 85.4. There they are. And then now I want Syrians. That's over at 95.1. And so you just change the signal. And how do you do that? You change your intention.
That's amazing.
That is so simple, but the critical mind wants to get in the way, doesn't it? So when you can just let the mind sit back and let the mouth start talking, then you can really bring in the messages. Everyone has the counterparts next to them. Every one of you that is here as a starseed in this collective, you all have a Daniel. You all have your own collective that you can channel, that you can get information from. What we want to say to you is that this channel, this higher self, will never give you fear-based information. It will not. It will always be in the highest vibration, because your higher self does not want to create fear. So it will not give you a fear-based piece of information. And so if you are getting something that says somebody's going to get hurt, something bad's going to happen, clear your energy. They're not going to tell you things like that. They're going to encourage you and help you. They may help you navigate. They may say, don't take that road today, take this one. And you never know what you avoided if you listen. You'll never know what you avoided there, but they won't tell you. If you go that route, you're going to die in a car accident. If you go this route, it'll be much safer. They're not going to tell you that.
Okay.
They'll just encourage you to go another direction. So always listen to the high vibration. If it feels like there's something fearful in there, go clear your energy. and ask for your guardians to come in. We are called the gatekeepers for Tracie. So she always says, call your gatekeepers in, and always set the intention for only the highest and best vibrational information to come through. And that's what we would suggest for you at this time.
Thank you
Do
so
you
much.
have any other questions?
Well, one of the other questions from one of the group members, he was asking about how to navigate, which I think you already say a few things, how to navigate all these things that we believe. I cannot talk too much about it, but about blockage of the sun, the things that they were putting to many people that starts with I, and all those things. How to navigate through life avoiding this fear-based situations, I would
Oh,
say.
don't avoid it. Don't avoid it. What we want to say to you is everything in your world is a mirror to you about where you are at. So when something is happening around you, you need to look at, what am I supposed to be learning from this? What did I set this up for? You set it up to have an experience. Sometimes you set it up with other people and you jointly have experiences, right? And so as you are having experiences, and those ones that you don't like, or why is this happening again? Why is this cycle returning? It's not happening to you, it's happening for you, right? We've all heard that saying. Look at the mirror. What is happening? Are you behaving this way somewhere? Are you somewhere in your life needing to change your behavior, and so it's being mirrored to you through another person? Is there somewhere where you're judging another person? Judgment is a huge thing that people don't even know they're doing. It's a very big and broad thing that happens a lot. And 5D cannot happen if you are in judgment of yourself or of others. So when you are in your world and you are walking around, if you feel the judgment, you're casting judgment on others, or feel that coming at you as well, you might have to step back and say, where am I judging myself? Because it's always about self. Where are you judging yourself? Where do you not feel worthy? Where do you not feel good enough? Where do you not feel like you deserve and have everything you need to be the thing that you want to be? So it is your playground. So where are you focusing your attention? Are you focusing your attention on the things that are under destruction right now, right? And the crumbling of all the different government facets, the exposures, and all the things. We want to say this: there are some people that are here to be the warriors and to be in what do they call that, the to be in the conspiracy, into the conspiracy stuff, this stuff that nobody talks about, right? There are some who are meant to be here. If you feel like you are meant to be part of that, then we applaud you, because it is not easy to look at all the densities of the earth. But what we want to tell you is that you cannot beat it if you're joining it. And you say, oh no, I would never join it. And we say you're joining it if you are looking at it and getting angry.
Okay.
That pisses me off that this is happening. Well, now what? Now we got more anger in the world, not more love. So how do you resolve the bad densities in the world? You start loving them. Doesn't that sound like a weird thing to do?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
But you start loving it, you start sending love to it, and you start sending healing and the abuses of this world, you start sending love and light to it. And if you find yourself getting angry about it, shut it off. You're not helping, you're hurting. You're amplifying a density that you're trying to heal in this world. So back away from it a little bit. Do yourself a favor, do the world a favor, back away from that. Find your love for the healing aspect of what you would like. It's a beautiful thing that you got angry about it. Don't get us wrong. It means you care. That means you care. And we understand, and we don't want you to ignore that emotion. But maybe there's some healing work for you in there. Where were you abused? Where were you treated wrong? Where were you not heard? Where were you put in the wrong direction? Whatever it might be, whatever it is that it mirrors to you, go heal that part of you so that you can heal that mirror to you. In other words, if everyone on this planet could go heal the wound, then all of this density would not have to be mirrored back to the planet, right? So this is where we got to open our eyes to this journey. It is so much bigger than what we think it is. the violence and the bad things that we see happening in the planet, they are also mirrors. And the way to resolve them is to love them. And does that answer that question?
Yes, very much. Thank you so much, Daniel. Great honor to be connecting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank
through
you so much.
Tracie and you. Thank you.
We'll bring Tracie back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh,
That's the
beautiful
answer, right?
messages. Yeah, beautiful,
Yeah.
amazing messages. And it's
I
so
don't know,
powerful.
somebody didn't want to get paid, like, oh, I don't feel right taking money for this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they picked up on that person like right away and said, stop it. You
Oh,
deserve to
wow.
be compensated.
I think I know who can be. Yes,
Yeah.
I will pass the message to that person. But I think the person is coming on Thursday. But I really appreciate it, Tracie. You don't know how honored I am that have this amazing conversation. Obviously, it can be for hours and hours, and all the experiences
Right.
and all these conversations. And you
Well,
are truly
now we got all the story out of the way. So maybe in the future we can do another one where we just do a little more playtime and
all the fascinating stories. But your story is important because I believe that your story encourage others, including me, that we can continue moving forward. With 3 kids, raising them by your own, with all these things against, against you, manage. And you are so bright in your coming back grounded, but at the same time, so your light and your sense of humor, I think, keeps it very much aligned to the most beautiful things. So wishing you all the very best with everything you're doing, because I know you have a very busy agenda. And I'm more grateful that in your busy agenda, you do that. You have few conferences going.
So I know you guys are in Australia. I'm going to say, hopefully I get to see you all in January. The dates have not been released yet, but we're going to be in Thailand, which is closer to you guys than any of the other reunions.
Oh, great.
So hopefully start saving up now and putting your intentions to be there.
That would be fantastic. Yes, it will be closer.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to get to see everybody in Thailand in January. So.
And just to give, if you can give all your social media, website, YouTube, for people to connect to you, please.
TracieMahan.com, and it's TracieMahan, and I spell it because there's like 500 ways to spell Tracie apparently, and I get them all. So TracieMahan.com, Arcturian Daniel, channeled by Tracie Mahan, is my YouTube. Tracie Mahan on Facebook, and Mahan QHHT, I think it is, on Instagram. I didn't think to change that to have my first name on it when I opened it. So
I will write it down as well under the video, and I'll send it to all my group too, because I'm pretty sure they will contact you and they want to meet Daniel as well.
Wonderful. Now you guys are a day ahead of me, so email me, because I use Square and the system doesn't do the day change. So
so they need
if you want an appointment, email me and we'll do it. I'll do that emailing back and forth till we find the right time and place for you. So
fantastic. Thank you so much, Tracie. Wishing you all the best with all these activities that you have.
Thank you, Claudia, for letting me be here, and thank you, everyone.
Enjoyable, and have a good night and enjoy your evening.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.